I'm going to tell you exactly what happened because the last thing I remember before everything went wrong was thinking, this is just kids in costumes. It's New Year's. Nothing bad happens on nights like this. I was wrong. The first time I saw the Santa Boy, I didn't notice the knife. I noticed the smile. It was too steady, like someone had glued it on. The kind of smile you see on a cheap plastic doll, the kind that doesn't change when you talk to it. He was standing alone at the edge of the playground behind our apartment complex, half hidden by a snowbank. Red hat pulled down to his eyebrows, white beard strapped tight under his chin. The beard looked damp, matted at the edges from the cold. His little red coat was bright against the gray evening, and for a second it made the whole scene feel harmless, almost cute. I would have walked right past him if he hadn't turned his head and looked at me like he'd been waiting. Not staring the way kids do when they're bored. Not curious. It was measured. Like a cashier waiting for you to finish counting change. Like a person checking you off a list. I nodded at him because that's what you do when you don't want to be rude to a kid you don't know. I didn't stop. I didn't speak. I just kept walking toward the entrance of my building, boots crunching on salt and packed snow. Behind me, I heard a soft sound, 3 quick taps. I turned. The Santa Boy was tapping the side of the slide with his mittened hand. Tap, tap, tap. Then he stopped and tilted his head again. The moment stretched weirdly long. My throat tightened like my body was trying to warn me about something my brain hadn't understood yet. Then he raised his hand slowly and pointed not at me, but at the ground beside him. There, half buried in snow, was a little gift bag. Cheap paper, red and green stripes. The kind you buy in a pack of 10. I remember thinking, this is a prank. Some older kids trying to scare people, or maybe a lost present. I took 1 step closer just to be sure, and the Santa Boy's smile widened by the tiniest amount. That's when I heard my own voice behind me. Hey, it said. Dude. I spun around so fast my stomach lurched. It was my friend Max, jogging up the path with his hood up and his hands in his pockets, breath puffing white. You okay? He asked. You look like you saw a ghost, I laughed, but it came out thin. Just kid in a costume. Max glanced past me toward the playground. What kid? I turned back. The snowbank was empty. The slide was empty. The whole playground was empty, except for the wind pushing loose powder across the swings like pale smoke. I felt my face go hot under the cold. He was right there, I said, too quickly. Red coat. Santa hat. Max squinted at me like he was trying to decide if I was joking. Bro, there's nobody, and it's freezing. Kids aren't out here. I wanted to argue, but my eyes kept searching the snow for footprints. There were none. Not even mine, not clearly. Just the churned-up mess of old tracks and plow lines. What about the bag? I asked, because I needed something physical, something real. Max shrugged. What bag? I walked toward the spot anyway. My boots sank into the drift. I reached down and brushed away snow with my glove. Nothing. No bag, just hard ice under the powder, gritty with salt. For a second, I honestly wondered if I'd fallen asleep standing up. That's how wrong it felt, like my brain had glitched and written something into reality that didn't belong there. Max clapped my shoulder. Come on, New Year's Eve tomorrow. You gonna be alive for it, or what? I let him pull me back toward the building. I kept glancing over my shoulder. The playground stayed empty. But as we reached the entrance, I heard it again. 3 soft taps. This time from inside the fence. And when I looked back, I finally saw something that made me stop breathing. A small red mark on the snow, perfectly round, like someone had pressed a stamp into it. Bright as fresh paint. Max kept walking and didn't notice. He didn't even slow down. I followed him inside because what else do you do when something in the dark is trying to make you look back? That night, I tried to explain it away. Stress. Lack of sleep. The brain playing tricks because the holidays always mess up my routine. I turned on a stupid show, ate leftover noodles, and kept the volume high to cover the sound of the building settling. At 2:58 a.m., my phone buzzed with a message. Unknown number. Just 3 words. Don't open IT. I sat up so hard my neck popped. Before I could type anything, another message came. He can't come in. Then my phone went dead. Not low battery, dead black screen, like the device had shut itself off mid-breath. In the silence that followed, I heard something outside my apartment door. Not footsteps. Not knocking. A light scraping sound, like fingernails dragged slowly along wood. I stayed completely still. The scraping paused. Then came 3 taps, gentle, polite, right outside my door. Tap. Tap. I didn't move. I didn't answer. And then from just the other side of the door, a child's voice said my name. Not shouted, not whispered, spoken like it was reading it off a tag. Hey, the voice said. Open. My entire body went cold. I hadn't told anyone in this building my name. The voice waited, then tapped again 3 times. I pulled the blanket up to my chin like it could protect me. My heart was beating so hard it felt like it was trying to escape through my ribs. Finally, the voice sighed. Disappointed. Okay, it said. Tomorrow. Then the scraping sound returned, moving away down the hall, slow and steady, like someone dragging something heavy. I didn't sleep at all. In the morning, my phone worked again like nothing had happened. No record of the messages. No missed calls. No unknown number. I checked the peephole. The hallway was normal. The carpet was normal. The world looked normal. That's how it starts, I think. The first rule is always the same. If the world doesn't validate what you saw, you begin to question your own eyes. I tried to ignore it all day. I went to the store, bought snacks for the New Year's thing Max kept talking about, and forced myself to chat with the cashier like I wasn't carrying a secret in my chest. Everything felt slightly too bright, slightly too loud, like my senses were turned up because my brain refused to relax. When I got back, there was a small box on the mat outside my door. No label, no shipping tape. Just a plain white box with a red ribbon tied around it. My throat tightened. I looked up and down the hallway. No one. I didn't touch the box. I stepped over it and went inside, locking the door behind me. Through the door, I heard a soft, delighted sound like a child giggling behind its hands. Good, the voice said. You learn. That's when I started shaking. I called Max. I didn't tell him everything. I told him a kid in a costume was creeping me out and someone left something outside my door. I made it sound like an annoying prank. He laughed. Dude, it's New Year's. People do weird stuff. Probably some neighbor trying to be festive. It called my name, I said before I could stop myself. Max went quiet. Okay. That's different. You can come over? I added quickly. Just for a bit. Tell me I'm being insane. He hesitated, then said, Yeah, after work. But bro, don't open random boxes. I'm not. Good, keep it that way. After I hung up, I realized something that made me feel sick. Max hadn't asked how I knew it was a kid. That night, I left my living room light on. I sat on the couch with my back to the wall and the kitchen knife block in front of me, like that would make me feel safer. It didn't. At 11:49 p.m., fireworks started popping in the distance. People yelling, music from somewhere in the building. The whole world doing what it always does on the last night of the year, pretending the calendar changes something. At 12:13 a.m., the scraping started again. This time it didn't stop at my door. It scraped along it, slow, deliberate, like someone was writing on it with a nail, then 3 taps. Then my name again. Open, the voice said. It's almost time, I tried to speak. My mouth was so dry my tongue stuck to my teeth. Go away. Silence. Then the voice laughed softly. You said words, it said, pleased. Now I know your mouth. My stomach dropped at the weirdness of that sentence. You can't be rude on New Year's, the voice continued, almost scolding. Rules. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. What rules? I managed. Another soft laugh. The ones you forgot, it said. The ones adults forget. The ones kids remember. Something thumped lightly against the door like a hand pressing on it. Then another sound joined it, faint and rhythmic, like a small palm tapping the wood. Then a second set of taps, off to the side. Then a third, lower down. I wasn't alone out there. There were multiple hands, multiple voices whispering and giggling just beyond the door. My knees went weak. I slid down against the wall, knife in my shaking hand, and then, suddenly, the giggling stopped. All at once, the hallway went dead silent. For a few seconds, I thought maybe I'd imagined it. Then, from very close to the door, the original voice spoke again, calm, almost gentle. "Look, I didn't move." "Look through," it said, like it was talking to a stubborn child. Against every instinct, I crawled to the peephole and looked out. The hallway was lit by the flickering overhead light. The carpet was the same ugly pattern. The fire extinguisher cabinet reflected dimly. And standing right in front of my door was the Santa boy. Only now I could see his face. It wasn't a mask. It was a child's face pale, cheeks too smooth, eyes too dark. His lips were cracked like they'd been painted and dried. The smile didn't reach his eyes. He stared directly into the peephole, like he knew exactly where my eye was. Then he lifted his mitten slowly and pulled it off. In his bare hand he held a knife, not a toy, not plastic. A real kitchen knife, the kind you keep for carving meat. The blade was clean, but the handle was wet, like it had been held with a sweaty grip. He pressed the tip of the knife gently to the wood of my door, right below the peephole, and tapped it 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. "See?" the voice whispered. "Real." I stumbled backward so fast I hit the wall. Behind the door, the child giggled. "Happy New Year," the voice said sweetly. "Let's play." I didn't answer. I didn't move. I sat there shaking until the scraping sound began again, this time moving away down the hallway, like it was leaving. When it finally stopped, I forced myself to stand and check the lock. It was still locked. The deadbolt still engaged. My door was intact. But just below the peephole, carved lightly into the wood, was a symbol. A simple circle with 3 short lines like claws. And beneath it, scratched in messy letters, was one word: soon. I don't remember how long I sat there, staring at it before my phone buzzed again. "Max, I'm outside," he texted. "You okay?" I stared at the message and felt something almost like relief, witnesses, another person, reality. I unlocked the door and yanked it open so hard it banged against the wall. Max stood there, eyes wide, holding 2 plastic bags with snacks and soda. He blinked at me. "Dude," he said, "you look wrecked." I grabbed his sleeve and pulled him inside like the hallway might swallow him. "Listen," I said, words tumbling out. "You need to just don't laugh. Something's wrong." Max set the bags down. Okay, talk." I pointed at the scratch on the door. "That wasn't there yesterday." Max leaned in. He frowned. "Looks like someone keyed it." "There was a kid," I said. "In a Santa costume?" "Right outside." "With a knife." Max paused. "A knife?" "Yes." He rubbed his face. "All right, that's not a prank." I watched his eyes drift toward the door handle, toward the deadbolt, like his brain was doing the same math mine had been doing. No forced entry, no explanation, but physical evidence. Then Max did something I didn't expect. He walked to the door and opened it. "Max!" I shouted, but it was too late. The hallway was empty. Max leaned out, looked left and right. Nobody. I felt my heart slam against my ribs. "Close it." He did slowly. "Okay," he said, voice quieter. "That's creepy. We sat in my living room for a long time." I told him everything, the taps, the voice, the box, the message that disappeared. He listened without interrupting, but I could see the disbelief fighting with the evidence. "This is like some weird stalking thing," he said finally. "Or like one of those TikTok prank groups." "It knew my name," I said. "And it looked into the peephole like it knew I was there." Max swallowed. "Maybe it's someone in the building." "No footprints," I said. "No tracks by the playground, like it's not walking." Max looked at me for a long time. "Okay," he said slowly. "Then maybe we don't stay here tonight." And that was when, from the kitchen, we heard a soft sound. 3 taps. From inside my apartment. Max went pale. We both stared at the kitchen doorway. The light in the kitchen was off. The room beyond it was dark. Tap, tap. Then a whisper from the darkness in a child's voice. "Found you." Max grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt. "Did you?" "No," I whispered. Something moved in the kitchen, a small figure. Not running, not sneaking, just stepping into the faint glow from the living room. A child, about 8 or 9, wearing an elf costume, green hat, pointy ears, red striped tights. Its face looked normal at first, round cheeks, freckles, bright eyes. Then it smiled, and the smile was wrong. Too wide. Too many teeth. Not like shark teeth, like human teeth, just more than there should be, packed too tightly like they'd been forced in. Max let out a strangled sound. The elf lifted its hand. In its palm was the red ribbon from the box outside my door. It dangled from its fingers like a worm. "Gift," it said. Then it turned its head sharply toward the hallway, like it heard something we didn't. And from somewhere beyond my door, the Santa boy's voice called, muffled but excited. "Open?" The elf giggled and darted backward into the kitchen, too fast, like a blur. Max yanked me toward the door. "We're leaving now." I didn't argue. We burst into the hallway. It was empty, but the air felt different, heavy, like before a thunderstorm. Max practically dragged me down the stairs. We ran outside into the snow, breath burning our lungs. I didn't stop until we were halfway across the parking lot, and that's when I saw them. At the playground fence, lined up like a row of decorations, were 3 figures. The Santa boy in red, holding his knife. The elf in green, smiling too wide. And something taller behind them, hunched slightly as if it didn't fit the space. Its skin looked greenish in the moonlight. Its mouth was stretched into a grin. Not a costume, not makeup. A face like a holiday character, but wrong in the way a badly restored painting is wrong familiar, but corrupt. It lifted one long hand and waved slowly. Max's voice trembled. "What is that?" The green thing tilted its head and spoke in a voice that was deep and cheerful, like a man doing a cartoon impression. "New Year's," it said. "New you." The Santa boy tapped his knife on the fence 3 times. The elf tapped its fingers on the metal 3 times. And the green thing leaned closer, grin widening. "All you have to do," it said, "is go back inside." My entire body screamed to run. So we did. We sprinted to Max's car. He fumbled the keys so badly he dropped them once. He swore, face white, hands shaking. Finally the doors unlocked, and we threw ourselves inside. As Max started the engine, the headlights swept across the playground. The figures were gone. No footprints. No tracks. Just smooth snow, untouched. Max backed out so fast the tires spun. We fishtailed, then shot down the street. For a few minutes, neither of us spoke. The world outside the windshield looked normal streetlights, parked cars, a couple stumbling home, laughing. Normal New Year's night. Then Max's phone buzzed on the dash. Unknown number. He glanced at it, then threw it into the cup holder like it burned. "What?" I asked. Max swallowed, eyes fixed on the road. "It says, 'Thank you for driving him.'" My blood went cold. I looked in the rearview mirror, and for a split second in the back seat I saw a small red hat, just the tip of it, then nothing. Max didn't look. He kept driving, jaw clenched, knuckles white. "Don't stop," I whispered. At 3:17 a.m., every streetlight we passed flickered, and from somewhere inside the car, not from outside, not from the radio, came 3 soft taps. Tap, tap. Max started to cry without making a sound. I realized then the final rule we had forgotten. It doesn't need your door. It just needs you to believe you're safe. And on New Year's, everybody wants to believe that. The tapping stopped. A child's voice right behind my ear whispered warmly, "Happy New Year," and then the car lights went out.